So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to move down to item 4.2, and then if Mr. Mason shows up later, then we can fill him back in, if that's okay.
Have somebody walking up right now is all the reason I was pointing.
Maybe. Are you Kent Mason?
I am.
Are you ready to go, or do you want to wait until number 2? So you're first on the agenda. We're just getting started. Yep. And you're
But this will work.
okay. The floor is yours. So I'll just kind of give the board a quick synopsis. Kent and Bonnie Mason. I'm putting their field sheet on your screens now. This is a Fawn Lake parcel right on County 17. He's got 20 acres. And this is the house. I don't know if anybody recognizes it. Egg Homestead, 2007 house. Floor is yours.
Okay. When I moved to Todd County from Hennepin, I was very, is this the group? Or
This is
this is the group? Thanks.
This is the Board of Commissioners. They will be deciding on tonight's issues. This is the assessor's office.
Okay.
We're the ones that created.
Good. Okay. Anyhow, when I bought the house in about '09, but for $250,000. For the next roughly 10 years, it stayed real close to that. It went up a little, down a little, up a little, and I'm going, okay, this is, I understand it. Last year, it went from 250 to 300,000. And I'm going, whoa, that's a lot. And so I talked to Amy, and I enjoyed you very much. You were very good. And she said, well, yeah, it went up, but maybe next year it'll go down because it's gone up and it's gone down. Unfortunately, with COVID, I think this has played a big effect in all the housing prices. The price of lumber is, in some places, like 4 times the amount. I understand that. The interest rates are very low. But when it went up another 50,000 this year, that means over the 2 years, it's gone up 40%. And my question, I don't think I ever got it from Amy. She did give me other houses that I looked at. They were more, they had outbuildings and they had cupolas and other stuff. My question to Amy was, a residential house, not on a lake, what is the percentage in the county has houses gone up? I didn't get an answer. And so I'm going, I can't believe that people's houses have gone up 40% in 2 years over the whole county. Something to me seemed amiss. So that's why I'm here, just to say, I have a rectangle house. I made it very simple and easy. So I guess that's my question. Do you have what the average residential house in Todd County, because I'm figuring all their lumber also went up like 4 times as much, and the interest rates for a home loan are down as low as you can be, so when you start comparing other properties, it goes up. Do we know what residential houses in the county? But haven't you looked over the whole county and go, okay, this is roughly what the percent, that's kind of my question.
Spreadsheet that I had sent,
Uh-huh.
was the comparables, and they also had a $50,000 increase each year.
I did, and they weren't that, you said they were close, and I'll tell you,
So
they weren't close to me.
on the screen, I have, this is a page out of our abstract. Commissioners, you should recognize this page from your packet. It shows how 2021 Todd County value compares to 2020 Todd County value. And we have that separated out by land, building, ag, residential, commercial, seasonal, apartments. We could keep going on and on.
I don't see any 40 or 20% per year on any of those.
I got a 66 here. You're right. Here's a 17. You're not going to find this one magic average number when you look at everything. And that's because we don't blanket assess the whole county. We don't say every house is going up 40%. What we do say is houses in Fond Lake Township are going to change by X amount, or houses on the lake are going to change by this, or tillable land in Fond Lake is going to change by that. Everything that we're changing is based on the sales that we receive, and they're specific to those sales. So it's not just this blanket cast across the whole county.
Chris, can you just bring up the Fond Lake one? I guess I've
Sure.
got it, but I don't think anybody else would have that.
Yep. Here is specific to Fond Lake. Ag went up just under 13%, residential just under 16%. If we look at houses, so this is ag houses, sites. I could show this more broken down. I didn't do it for each specific township in this scenario. Does this answer your question of how much Fond Lake went up or Todd County went up, or?
It does, and I'm going, my house, when it stayed so constant, what made the big change in the last 2 years?
Sales. But that's as blunt as I can be with it.
But
Sales
even there,
dictate the
I'm not
market.
seeing the others going up like that. I understand if I bought the house for $500,000, yeah, I'm going to be assessed at least
Yep,
$450,000.
sure. You bought the house for $250,000
Correct.
in 2010.
Yep.
When you bought the house in 2010, we had it assessed at $248,700.
Yes.
That's close.
So it's close. Yep.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Okay. And we understand that the markets, no, the house didn't, but the market certainly did. Like, I mean, you've expressed that today yourself. The market's different.
The market is different, but if you have the same house, you don't change it, then I'm thinking the percentage in that whole area should change the same. It shouldn't be me carrying 40%.
Agreed.
And everybody else has the same, I mean, your house goes up 12%.
But
And so this is why I'm struggling
yep,
with
it
this.
wouldn't be right to compare a house in, say, Pillsbury to your house here. I'm not going to look at those sales and compare them to yours, or Osaka Lake sales to your house and apply that difference. So when we're applying a sales comp approach, we're using local sales that hopefully are a lot like your property. I don't want to use sales from 20 miles away and say, well, they're selling for $4,000 a tillable acre.
The three comparables she showed me, 2 of them are 15 miles away. Okay, and he said, oh, they're close, you probably know these neighbors. And I'm a city kid, so that was a long ways for me. Yeah, the ones that live on the same street, oh, you don't have streets on there. Anyhow,
Well,
and the other one is probably 5-6 miles away. And they haven't sold, they just went up the same, that my house. And so,
They're all in Fond Lake Township.
okay,
Chris, can you go back to the field card, please?
yeah,
Yes.
it's hard not having them.
Here is the page with the improvements. We have, you'll see house written on here twice. That's because there's different portions, different polygons that are drawn. Got the garage, the open porch, the deck, the basement finish, concrete driveway, and one small yard barn. So
and except the yard barn isn't even, I mean, I can pick that up and move it.
Yep.
It's not even a
I know.
sellable thing.
if there was one line changed today, we wouldn't have to assess those things. We go through it every time with everybody that owns them.
Yeah,
They're
'cause
told,
it's-
we
it's
have
not-
to. Nope, they're not, right. You bring them in, they're on skids, they
Yep.
buy them from the lumberyard. Yep,
Okay.
all of those
Good,
things.
as long as you know that part of it.
Certainly.
Yeah, so that's the house, and that's the big side, because there's a hill, so the other side doesn't look like that, but
Chris, has he done any updating since 2007?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can we back up to the field card again? I'm trying.
Yep.
The field card shows a drawing of the deck, open deck. Does it surround the house? I don't think so.
No.
no.
So,
I do have photos if you want to see.
well, your photo showed it here, that it doesn't, so why are we assessing all the way around the house for an open deck?
Well, it's 8 feet from edge of eave to wall. That's,
Yeah,
That's because, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
it's a wood house,
yeah.
and so I don't have to restain it and stuff. I have huge eaves, so it kind of looks like a mushroom.
Yeah.
But it makes it,
So the sun don't hit it as much.
yes, much easier.
But if I read the field card right, doesn't it show a deck? Is it drawing? Am I misreading the drawing?
So this corner here equals this blue corner here. So we're saying that is just a deck. Everything else we're saying is covered by an eave. Around the house, there is 7 or 8 feet of covered deck. That one corner has,
Down the house.
The backside doesn't.
Can I approach?
It,
No.
you have to ask the chair.
sure.
I don't know how this
Yeah.
works.
No, that's quite all right.
So it's,
Well, if I read the drawing right, it shows, it indicates to me it's all the way around the house, and that, to me, is not true, though. So
all four.
it's not accurate,
sides.
so, I mean, unless I'm reading it wrong.
And it might be easier to.
Got a garage on it. Deck stops right there, Dave's right. Yeah. Big heat. Nice looking house, but different with the,
No, see,
I'm down in front of 5 field cards for Jeremiah and 5 main parcels for Annette.
So, Chris, is he getting charged for his roof going over the deck?
Certainly. So a normal
But
deck
it's
would
not
be,
living space.
if we look at, I'm gonna back up just a little bit more. So the deck is $15 per square foot prior to any depreciation. The portion with the roof hanging over is $20 per square foot. So it's an extra $5 with that enlarged eave.
I think what they're kind of talking about, Chris, is the area outlined in red on your drawing
Yep.
appears to say porch, and the porch doesn't go all the way around the wood porch piece of it.
Right.
So is it still considered a porch just because there's an
That-
overhang?
Portion is being assessed at the same rate, so it wasn't drawn in separately. I mean, if you want it removed, we can certainly remove it.
Well, my question is what's the percentage? Is it 50% of the house has an open porch, or is it 30%, or what is it?
Does that picture seem more acceptable?
Are the pictures over there?
Does that picture on the screen seem more acceptable by removing the portion that doesn't have a wood frame underneath
Yeah.
of it?
Yes.
So get rid of,
And it's not usable for anything.
$9,100,
9,000, 1,100, you said?
9,100. $9,200, excuse me.
And then if we could go back to the market values of where you had the original price or original one when he bought it and what it is now.
So he bought it from Jesse Kylander for $250,000.
And what do you have it appraised at now? 300 some?
351.
351.3 before the change, 342.1 if we removed that section of overhang.
What was
Say
it
that
if you
again.
changed it?
It's on the screen if that's easier.
Well,
So it's 351.3 prior to today's meeting. Removing that one section, it's 342.1.
Basement finished, lower level?
We have 900 square feet. out of the 1,600. So it's a 1,200 foot basement, 1,200 square feet of basement. We're showing that 900 of it is finished, so 3/4 of the total.
Is that accurate?
Yes. Chris, is there any explanation why for 8 years or 9 years that it just set flat? Was that the market in that particular? You know what I'm saying?
I
Okay,
do.
so If we did your calculation over 10 years,
Yeah.
your percentage doesn't look so bad.
Correct, it's just the last,
But,
Here, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
So this is me going back in time right now. So current 2020, 2019, 18. So there's a big jump from 17 to 18, which if you look back in time, that holds true. You know, there was a big shift in values that year. 212,
They're all lower actually in the beginning years, huh? Actually down
which follows suit after the recession era.
in era. right?
Yep, it took us. We were the first time that Todd County had an equal market value from '08 was 2 years ago. So it was 11 years before we reached that same level of value.
In construction, I remember 08, 09 very
Sure.
well.
Yep.
Chris, can you tell me how many years he was assessed for that full porch?
All of them. 2007 on. We've always had it there.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm going to move that we reduce the valuation to 295,000.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Kircher to move the value of the house to 295,000. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion?
Madam Chair, the reason I'm doing that is if he received full assessment, it actually should have been reduced more, but if you take 9,000, well, I'm sorry, you reduced it by how many thousand again? It was
9,200.
92.
you take that, multiply, it comes out to a substantial number, so
Yeah,
that's why I'm doing that, so.
okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? And it carries. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Yep. Annette, I think you're,
I guess mine is kind of like his is too. My assessments for next year, the taxes I'll pay, went up 70,000. And there's nothing I've done that would make that, and I shouldn't be compared to another county over here or there. I mean, if Barb's went up 70,000, she's my neighbor, might be understood, but I'm not so sure because other people have not gone up like that.
okay,
A few years ago, on one of my 40s, by the pink house,
yeah,
there's that little piece of land that's tillable.
Thank you.
And it went up like, I can't remember, 12,000 or something.
okay,
And I called down and talked to the assessor, and I can't remember who it was. And they argued with me, and then I told them, well, I want you to come out and look at it and go with me through it. But I said, bring your hip boots.
Yeah.
Why? I said, it's wet, and you need your hip boots. He never showed up. And my taxes went down a little bit, but not where they should have been. Because really that property became in hunter. So, you know, I think all of it, and this year, I think it went up, was it 12 or 14,000 now? They've raised it up again, and it's land that's not worth that. No one would ever buy.
I see, Annette's got, what, 3 properties listed here?
Yeah, to kind of fill in some of the blanks here, Annette has 3 properties. Her main is right on County 21. That's the picture that I'm showing here today. Her value change, all but, so 3,000 of it was from the house, buildings, and the rest of it was all land. So I have not done a total on this. She mentioned it was about 70 grand. All of that is land, except for approximately $3,000.
I also have a 40 that has 14 acres open, the rest is trees, but they're
That-
landlocked
That's this one here,
that way.
correct? If you look at the screen, is it this one that I'm hovering on?
Yes, it's right there in the, toward the south side.
That's not the one with the pink house, or is that the one with the pink house
That's-
on?
The pink house is away from,
That is this one, correct?
Yep, that's, yep.
no, it's that little, yeah. but
This
there's
is the
a
one with the
little-
pink house on.
Yeah, that's the part, but the two acres in the corner that's green, that's the only thing that's mine. Across the road, it looked like you had, that's not mine across the road.
Nope, correct. This is the white and blue Polish style house. Everything in this blue line here is yours.
Yeah,
Yep,
but this, where it's what, 19, whatever it says there,
that's not yours.
that's not mine, okay then.
I agree. So this is kind of a close-up, but that little house sits right about where the hand is hovering.
Yeah, it's not a house anymore.
Nope, and we're not assessing it as
But
An
the
improvement.
land that's in there, and most of it is so wet you can't walk in there.
So I think the best method is if we do these one parcel at a time.
Yep.
Can we start with the main? So I'm going to take my picture back across the road. This is the house and building site. There's the house, barn with a couple leans, pole shed with a lean, galvanized pole shed back here, grain bin, you can see it. Again, the value increase wasn't so much this area. The vast majority of it was the land.
Why would it go up 70,000 in 1 year? That just doesn't make sense to me.
All right, let's.
And my house, if you look at that, doesn't even have a finished basement. I don't know what it's
Back to
been.
Moran.
So this is the Todd County land schedule. I provided you with this in March as well. 2021, Moran Township. You can read the numbers there. I'm going to flip it to, this shows the difference between 2020 and 2021. So Moran, anywhere from $100 increase per acre up to $700 of increase per acre in Moran Township.
Nobody in their right mind would spend $500,000 on my farm. And that's what it comes up to almost.
This is a listing of the agricultural sales that we had in Moran Township. I am going to attempt to just highlight this little section right here. Actually, I'm going to even back it up one more. If we look at the sale price, which is this column here, E, and our 2021 value, so the value that we thought it was worth when the property sold. For example, this one sold for 50 grand. We thought it should sell for 24.8. We were 50%. The other 3 sales, we were at between 61 to 67% of actual sale price.
Chris, did any of those sales have irrigation available to them?
If so, we have it allocated as that.
You know, 'cause
So
I know that-
Maybe the Krause one? I think
Krause
Krause
and
actually,
Vasquez's?
he put it in after, didn't he?
No, it was always irrigated. It's always been irrigated.
Nineteen
The
two
other one I
seventy-four.
got a question is that one up by, the county shed across the road, and that was sold to a dentist out of St. Cloud for hunting.
Yep.
And a doctor lives in another house.
You know.
But
So was,
Moran,
is any of that, was that for land, ag, or was that just wooded?
so when we analyze these, that's the first step we're looking at is what was it? Not just was it acres, was it 40, was it 20, was it 10? It's what was it? Was it woods? So like on that crone sale that you mentioned, it was about half woods and half kind of a pasture meadow mess. So we're not going to use that to affect our tillable land because there was no tillable to say Crone bought this for $3,000 an acre, so that means tillable's worth $3,000. Well, that's like saying that Lakeshore is now worth $3,000. We don't know that because it wasn't a part of that sale. But what we do know is that when Krause's purchased theirs, they purchased it for substantially higher than we had on it, and that was tillable.
And that was irrigated though.
Yep.
You know, that's set up for irrigation. And it has always
But-
been irrigated land.
So we have 117 acres there. That's $3,051 per acre. Nowhere in Moran are we assessing at $3,050 an acre. We're still not there. So maybe the difference is irrigation. But our tillable doesn't, just barely gets to $2,000 an acre there. So on that Krause sale, we're still about $1,000 low per acre. Acknowledging the fact that it's one sale of tillable land. We do have to react to it though. On every sale that happened there, we were too low. And by a pretty close margin. You know, this is 50 to 66%. We don't have any crazy outliers here. They're all tightly packed around 60%.
Did you throw Krause sale out then
No.
or not? You kept it in even though it was, I mean, it's highly more wanted land because of the irrigation and the crops that they can grow on that versus the crops you grow on the non-irrigated land.
And we've talked to some people around that Germania, Moran corner that said that these hunters are coming in because they're all involved in QDM, quality deer management. A couple guys did it, then the next ones did it, and then the next ones did it. And that is driving that market in that corner. There's no doubt about it. So to throw it out because the neighbors have QDM or because there's the possibility of an irrigation isn't something we can do. That's part of what makes that sale. That's part of what we have to acknowledge as a location factor.
So what's Annette's land actually? Let's go back to her home place. What's the open acres and valued at?
Total land is 217.
What's the price per acre, Chris? For open land then?
So if we get rid of the building site, which really isn't part of the open acre, it is 197, 400 divided by 120 acres, 1645.
Okay,
Is that the one that you got base rate at 1,700 on here?
What's parcel are you looking at? I don't think so. In the top,
It says tillable.
do you want to help her out with that sheet?
And then why is the wooded land 2,200?
Laura, we're on parcel 97 right now.
Is this the,
76.
What
1,900.
is this one on?
What's that?
1,800?
Per acre? 1645. So,
18 for tillable and 14 for the
That's what
wood.
you got in
So
at an average.
there.
Yep. So we have 1900 on the tillable, and you can read what's there.
14.
14 for the other stuff. And if we want to go back to the aerial, you can look at it again.
Now, I see
Maybe.
some of it is Class C, and two of them are Class B.
We, yeah. So there's different qualities there.
Well, on the parcel we're on,
It's Class B,
It's B.
right at 19.
So on the Krause certificate of real estate value, he listed that 85 of those acres are irrigated.
That they are irrigated.
Yep.
Yeah,
So we knew that at the time of sale.
yeah.
So that was part of our,
Well, it makes it
Moves the
such a
value up,
broad
yeah.
difference in what crops you can, and the rent you get paid for it too. On this, which is the Class C land? Because most of our acres are real close, tillable Class C. What parcel is that located?
that's the one with the little house.
That's
Just
the
those-
one with the,
Just those 2 acres with the little house across the road.
I don't think any of the, and I don't want to say anything negative about their land, but I don't think their land is all so close together. I'm questioning why would some of it be Class C or tillable C and the rest be tillable B?
Some of those, and when you get a 2-acre piece like that, I would imagine that it's hard to do anything with, correct?
You're right. It's in hayland right now, and with the drought, there's no hay.
But if you have
Now there's,
a 100-acre field, it's probably much easier to rent, and you could get a higher rent value for that, right? So
Rent that piece, you know. there's-
the 2-acre piece.
The 2 acre piece, don't wanna rent that, 'cause why
Exactly. I agree.
road with machinery?
So even if the soil quality is there, the value is not.
I guess I would like to see the value of $1,900 for Class B land lowered.
Across the whole township.
Well,
I don't think they're too far off the average from what Chris said, is about $300.
Argue that we're
about
still low.
300.
If you look at where I mentioned we started at 62%, we raised those values up and now we're at 75% of the sales values. We're nowhere near our 90 to 105. It's painful for us too to raise stuff $400 an acre, but looking at these values now, if land in Moran continues even staying steady, we have to raise the values again.
The sad thing is you're raising the value and they're not necessarily the ones that are going to be farming it.
No,
The value on the farmers, actually.
your neighbor, is it Sweeney?
Yep.
He just sold that piece across the road.
Yep.
What was
100,
he
how
sold
much?
with hunting?
Yeah.
Currently $100,000 more than we have it assessed for. Half woods, half tillable.
Yeah.
That's another indicate.
Here to look at that piece?
I use these same aerials that we're using to look at yours. I haven't stepped foot on there. It's substantially easier to measure land using technology than it is to try to. We can't afford surveys for it, and this becomes a very accurate way to measure what's physically there. Not the buildings.
See what it is.
I do see yours twice a day. Once it's dark, I see it from 21. I know what's there. I know this area of the county. Amy knows this area of the county. We're not strangers to the areas that we assess. That being said, it's not practical to go measure just this chunk of swamp rather than using the tools that we have here. We pay a lot of money for this technology and it's extremely useful. To go out there with tape measures would not, it wouldn't come close to the accuracy we can see here. I'm going to show you an example. So this is a field around a building site that we're going to talk about later today. We can measure around each individual tree. We can measure these out to the 100th of an acre. It's not that we're sitting here being lazy by looking at stuff on a screen. It just is the best tool to do the job. That being said, we are out there. We see the corn wilting. We see the hay not growing.
Well, Madam Chair, we're sitting here not moving in any direction. We might be here till midnight if we don't make a decision. I'll move that parcel number 1700 that we leave alone, and parcel 9801 that we leave alone, and parcel 9700 that we reduce by 25,000.
Dave, would you repeat that? I did not get that written down.
Which one, all of them?
All of them, if you would.
Parcel 1700, we leave alone.
00, okay.
Parcel 9801, we leave alone. And parcel 9700 that we reduced by, I say 25,000? 25,000.
Okay. I have a motion to leave partial 1700 as is, parcel 9801, correct me if I'm getting any of these round numbers wrong, to leave alone or leave as is,
Yes.
partial 9700 to reduce by 25,000. I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Erickson, motion by Commissioner Kircher. Discussion?
Does that mean the 40 acres with the swamp is not moving?
Correct.
That's correct.
Moving up $12,000, 13,000, whatever it was.
In discussion, we did not discuss the swampland. Is that set at the most minimal amount or not for swampland?
We're acknowledging that it is waste, and we're valuing that just like we do every other acre. It's the lowest amount in any given township. Each township has a different number associated with it.
But that's the lowest amount for the township of Moran
Yes.
for wasteland?
Yep.
Okay.
You raise the tax on a piece of swampland.
Any other,
That,
It doesn't make sense. I would think anybody would think that.
I think the problem of it is so much of that land is bought up by hunters, and they're willing to pay money for it.
that,
Be there to hunt.
Well, if we reduce
Yeah.
this parcel, Madam Chair, we'd have to do the same for the other parcels that are rated at the same amount. So I think
Yeah.
that we're staying consistent throughout the township, so.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And it would carry. Thank you, Annette.
all right. Carlos is not here at this time, so I'm going to set his parcel aside and ask Jeremiah Korf if you're ready.
That's the problem with that land up there.
And it's junk.
It's hard.
You gotta remember, though, one man's junk is another man's treasure.
I'm just asking a question about the first one, because eventually I gotta put a new roof on my house. So I'm asking, if I do a 2-foot overhang, because I have an old stone foundation, do I get taxed for a 2-foot overhang? Or is that like, are you better off to just let that water just drop? I mean, at
Yeah,
some
I
point,
mean,
at some point, that's kind of ridiculous.
Off the cuff, I pay the taxes before I let the water ruin my house.
Right.
But-
At what point do you tax like a 1-foot overhang? Is it
No,
a
a
2-foot
two would be
overhang?
pretty standard. Anything above that, you're going above and beyond
All right,
what's,
Just to kind of clarify certain
20
things.
inches,
20 inches on the dot.
or 21, or 20.
Joey's got a ladder.
correct.
And even the lady up here before, sorry to get off the topic, but, you know, Krause, they were forced to pay that because there's guys coming from Melrose that are buying up land, you know, they're
For
forced.
potato.
No,
Because it's like, otherwise his son will never farm it.
no one took his checkbook out of his pocket to pay that.
Right, but there's, no one's moving land farther or closer to you, so you're forced if there's
We,
something, you know
you're
what I mean?
right.
That's
We
the-
are off the topic,
I
but
like throwing those out.
Norm knows very well how to farm. He knows how to do business.
I totally get it.
And
I like
he
that
will
you
make
were
a profit
asking
on
about
that.
throwing it out, you know, a certain part or purchase, because for this lady, that is kind of something.
Do that in real estate, though.
Yeah, yeah, anyways, sorry. Now that I know how far I can do my overhang.
Yeah.
All right, you were given field sheets. This is an Eagle Valley parcel. So Jeremiah has 40 acres, farmhouse, and the barn, which has been converted. You've seen the field sheet. You guys have the field sheets. Floor's yours.
Okay. So, basically, it's been, we met with the township on the increase on the barn. Prior to this year, I was paying anywhere from $800 or $900. I left my papers sitting on the desk at home. But now this year, it goes from $800, $900 on the barn to overall a $10,000 increase. $10,100, is that what the jump was?
You're talking taxes?
Yeah,
Okay.
on just what I'm paying in taxes, just in 1 year, $10,000 more dollars for something that I was paying $900 on the year prior. So, because it went commercial, I understand, but here's the thing, when you're marking it down as a sale on what you think it can sell as, I still live on the property. If I were to sell that building off, I'm living literally 30 yards from the barn, okay? So it's not like it's a venue that's standalone on its own property. I'm never gonna sell it anyways. That's why we spent 6 years milling lumber and building the thing. But the idea that it can be sold as that, when it's all used material that I milled on a piece of land that I live on as well, and farm. So if all of a sudden somebody's gonna come in there and buy that, because that's what you're basing it off of, is what you think it could be sold as. I live right there. It's a barn that was built in 1950. And I tore down 3 other barns to keep it alive. Tore down the pusher pump room, down to what I needed to tear down, turned the birthing pen into the bridal suite, and turned the pusher pump room into the bathrooms. Now they look a little better than the pusher pump used to, but still the fact remains is it's $10,000 increase on my taxes for one building. Seems a bit steep.
Give me the story between commercial and ag.
This is some pictures from the inside of the barn. This, as is no longer an agricultural building. This building is being used for commercial purposes.
6 months out of the year, and the other 6 months I have my stuff in the basement of that barn. It's not insulated, so I can't, and you think I can sell it at this price. Say you're the buyer and I tell you, by the way, we don't have insulation, you can only be open 6 months out of the year. It's
Double Eagle Golf Course. Probably open about 6 months out of the year. Commercial. Probably.
Yeah, we're not a public opening. We don't have a restaurant. We don't have a liquor license. We're not serving alcohol from it's a brought-in product through other vendors.
You don't even have a kitchen, do you?
We
All
don't
your
have a
food is
kitchen.
brought in?
Yep. All food's brought in from vendors. We actually can't get our alcohol license until we have a kitchen, considered a restaurant, and that's not what we're tackling.
How about
All ones that you're about to show are open year-round. And on
So-
separate properties. And I know you're gonna say it's not my problem to
no?
run your
I
business
wasn't
that
going
way.
to say that.
However, you're assessing it at something that you believe
Correct.
could what be sold at. And I'm telling you, it's a barn that's open 6 months out of the year. We put our sweat equity into it to make something great for 6 months. 85% of all of our brides this year are coming from outside Todd County. 85%.
So if you look at the field sheet, you'll see 2 lines on the front page that say 2021. Next to that, it says 61417. If you look just a little bit further, there's a 10110. To us, that means agricultural homestead. Underneath that, it says 233,099. That is code for commercial. So you can see that we are not valuing the entire property as commercial. We are valuing the portions that are being used as such as commercial. Everything else is ag homestead. If you pan a little bit further down, you'll see record 1 of 2. This is your land record. It says tillable pasture woods, building site and road. Record 2 of 2 is the land that is associated with the commercial. Next page shows the house. Again, this is on record 1, so it's it's ag homestead. House and deck, fireplace, couple old silos sitting there. Record 2 of 2 is your commercial record. So this shows, well, you can see it in the sketch. Most of the things there are drawn in.
Okay, can I
Please,
get on my horse again?
please.
According to the sketch, if I'm looking at the sketch appears to me just like we're looking at the barn, am I correct?
You're looking straight down at it.
All right.
So if you
And
look at
there-
this,
It shows no silos.
we-
Which I think there's 2.
there's actually, those are on the ag record. We're saying that there is no commercial use to those silos.
All right, thank you. Then I see on the deck again, encloses the end of the barn there. And I only see a deck that covers the end. Now, I can't see the other side,
So if we go to,
right?
so when
It's
you
just a
look at,
walk-around porch, the same scenario, same as that front lean-to.
Yeah.
Mainly that just,
so if you look at the sketch there, this deck that I'm hovering over is this deck here.
Oh, well, see, that's totally opposite of what I'm looking at here.
This that says canopy
Well, it says open porch.
is this here. So this is the portion that we have labeled as canopy.
Where?
On the end of it.
This,
Canopy, where is it?
Yes.
Oh, that's on the other side of the barn. No, you got the drawing as,
no, let's go this way.
See how long it is, Dave?
Here's the overhead.
oh,
Here's the deck. So the sketch is at a 90-degree angle. The picture was taken from approximately this corner of the house.
yeah.
And the sketch,
Oh, it
the
doesn't show
left-hand
whole thing.
side of the sketch,
Picture here is not good then. It doesn't show me the whole.
it's tough to get that. It's a big building. So we're trying to just show a portion of it. We usually like to show what we see when we drive up, so we're fully aware of what we're looking at. This is the canopy portion. This is the deck. And if we go back, it's basically spun 90 degrees to fit on our page.
So I believe the area Dave's mentioning is the other end of the building completely.
open
Chris, where
backside.
it says open porch all the way around it.
Okay, so let's look at that via
That area down
the
there.
aerial. So that's, now we're on the north side of the barn, looking back towards the road.
Totally different from what I was.
So this is
Bird's
the,
eye view is a lot better, I'm gonna tell you. So it goes
So
from
that-
one end around to the other. Now you have it enclosing as a wraparound. Does it wrap around? Okay, all right. Okay.
concrete underneath, roof over top.
Good, thank you.
The question that we asked earlier was, if not commercial, then what? I don't see any other option. We looked up golf courses, we looked up Mapa resorts, we,
tried to find different options of what it could be.
yep.
Either to be a resort, I'd have to be on a lake, or would you say government property next to it or something like that?
Government issued trail, it was this long, but it doesn't qualify.
Weird things
Yep.
that I don't.
Did you have to rezone?
Conditional use permit?
To what? From what to what?
So from an AF 1 or 2 to a CPU for commercial.
All my stuff sitting at the.
Good
Yeah,
zone
we
at a
did.
church.
Yeah.
Good zone at a church.
Oh, that's
Black
tax
hat.
exempt, Randy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We're done here.
I remember approving the conditional use permit, that was last year, I think, year before, I remember. And so if he's got a conditional use permit there, he would have to rezone. Yep,
We do have a copy of this CUP. Request for CUP, wedding barn, to host wedding events and short duration camping. Adam Ossifor presented the staff report. Conditions included abandonment of on-site manure pit, on-site camping limited to 4 sites, length of stay must not exceed 2, no on-site dumping, vehicle parking shall not take place on road, total gas limited to 198. All changes must be presented to planning and zoning for further. Applicant must abide by all federal, state, and local standards. So pretty standard language. I don't know what to add to that.
he qualifies it as commercial, so.
Would agree.
Yeah, and I don't deny that at all. We do have weddings there. We're available to book 6 months out of the year. Now, whether we're booked every weekend, we don't typically book the first couple weekends of May. My only thing is the fact that all this is based off of discernment of when this barn is being used. And clearly we can't change the fact of the zone or that it's commercial. But everybody in this room knows we're not open 6 months out of the year. So it comes down to the decision process of $10,000 extra for something that I paid $900 for before, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, and I'm still in the, I think half of that amount is a very fair assessment. Because if you believe of what you believe it is, and you give it that of $10,000, well, we all know I'm not open 12 months out of the year. But I don't think it's worth that, because there's no, you brought the example of the ballroom, which is on its own property, its own section, its own little area. And we're relatively close, when it comes to
Location?
We offer brides something different. Totally fine. That's why we wanted to do what we're doing, because we didn't want to push anybody out of, we just wanted to offer something completely different, which we do. Yeah, and bringing business back to the community. However, we do only do that 6 months out of the year. And so the other 6 months.
But so does Double Eagle. So does Lamprey Country
They still
Club.
have a restaurant. They still have those things, and the other businesses are open year-round. And the second thing is you're assessing it as if it was able to sell at that market price, thinking that it could be open year-round, which it can't.
We're fully aware of how long you're open.
Correct. But your discernment on the fact is still going by, and as far as 948 square feet of a covered porch, well, I cantilevered my rafters so they hang over.
And poured concrete underneath of them.
Right.
Right.
So should have I done cement blocks and not, would have that cheapened it up if I'd have done little individual bricks?
So that north side of the barn, you wouldn't consider a porch area? Have you ever referred to it as a porch, an overhang? What do you call it? I mean, I honestly don't even know if I care what you call it. The fact is, it's an overhang porch. It's a covered porch. I don't know how else to label it.
Madam Chair, my nephew got married in a place down outside of Avon, almost a similar venue than this. And I gotta find some research on that and just see what they're paying for that. Cause it's out in the middle, and theirs was out in the middle of nowhere at a farm. The barn was, they stuck a ton of money in this barn. The reception was up in the haymow. It was frickin' awesome. But I don't know what they were whether they're assessed commercial or what. So I don't know what other counties are doing with this same type of venue, so,
Well, the only comparisons that they brought to me are both venues that stuck close to 2 mil in it, and they're open year round. So
And-
that's not even the same comparison, because they're 300 people capacities, and they have restaurants, and they have an alcohol service as well.
and I don't think this one was open year-round. It was strictly for weddings. So, but it was east of Avon, towards Cold Spring.
Chris, give me 50% of the sales ratio, please. You got 70%. Give me 50%.
I don't, help me out, I don't know where you're at yet.
I'm on the field card, you got a building adjustment, 70% sales ratio adjustment.
So you want me to take the location factor down by 20%?
50%, take it down, yeah, yes, down by 20%.
Not sure I know how to do that.
You know I'm not a big fan of sales comparisons.
I know, and
One of a kind.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
that's why I didn't know where to look for it. Normally, I would have pulled up, say, a Germania parcel and said, "Oh, they're at 50 here," but all of Todd County commercial is 70%, except for a couple little bits in specific cities. So I'm gonna go there now. The screen, it's terrible, but this is Bertha Residential, Eagle Valley Residential, Browerville, Burnhamville, Clarissa, on and on and on. So these are res, these are eggs in the townships, commercials at the bottom. So you can see we have 108 different subsections that we're looking at in Todd County. 01 commercial, all the way down through 11 is 70. Long Prairie Township is 80, and Round Prairie Township is 75. Oh, Rod, you won twice there.
That's where I'm at. That's where my business is at.
Barville's down 5. Eagle Bend is down 5. Gray Eagle's up. So for the most part, it is. But you want me to shoot a 50 in there? I can certainly change this table, pop back into the other, and see what it does. As far as equalized, it is being treated in the same regard as
But it's unique in its.
it is unique.
Was there a 60 at the very top, Chris,
Yeah,
when you first looked at it?
That was a different subset. So if you see, that's agricultural and Eagle Bend, which is probably 2 parcels. But
Okay.
one of the things that I was kind of looking at before,
Just so you know, Jeremiah, if we reduce it, you'll be back again next year, so it's gonna go back.
Yeah.
I mean, we still, there's a lot, eventually I would like to get an alcohol
Yeah.
license. Eventually, and these are things that I'd like to be able to put into, that,
But-
I'm gonna get taxed
You
on
know,
it eventually anyways.
we
It's like,
we've talked about the booze license. Does that follow the property for the year, or does that follow the property owner
Pardon?
The property.
for 1 year?
Doesn't
From
have one,
April to
though.
March is our
Yeah.
liquor license year.
But
He doesn't
regardless,
have one.
you're getting an application every year,
Yeah.
Every,
whether you're the VFW, lefties, I don't care.
but that's, if I'm correct on this, outside of city limits, it's something different.
no, it's
I
still
have
a
to go
year.
through
The,
the- but
the,
it's-
Comes through the
outside of
county.
the city limits, you're correct, it comes through the county.
Correct.
So what do you got the Olive Branch retreat out on County Road 98 valued at?
Then open another session.
There you go.
Do you have events where, like, people bring in a caterer and stuff like that? And
Yeah.
then can the carrier bring with their liquor license and be able to
Yes,
serve and stuff that way?
correct, that's
Yeah.
typically what we do.
Sure.
But we leave it up to the bride and groom. We give them a list of people we've used before.
Right.
And then they bring it in.
Yep, so you are able to do it, it's just that it's done through a
We
sub-type.
don't charge.
Exactly.
They get the barn for a price, and then whatever the restaurant charges for the alcohol.
They're on
or
their
food,
own.
That's on their own.
You wanna stay out
100%.
of the liability part of it.
Well, we still have to cover insurances
Right,
as if
but
we were the one making money off
You
it
don't wanna have dram
anyways.
shop though and all that other
Yeah.
stuff, so.
It's, everybody's has to be insured to the same for us.
Who owns it?
Is there another place in, well, Brown Eagle Bend that has it, weddings at or something? Somebody told me they went to one wedding, maybe it was just in a shop or
I
something.
think somebody just probably cleaned their, just for family, yeah.
Yeah, it is right outside of Eagle Bend. There's a barn, you go outside Eagle Bend, and then you go to the west, because we catered a wedding there.
Well, this is the first time I've seen your building and it's
Yeah.
beautiful, just so you know.
It is,
Appreciate it.
and that's the last thing we wanna do is discourage businesses coming in.
Honolly, 8202. $354,500.
But there's lake there.
So where's that at, Randy?
County 98, Gray Eagle.
Okay.
It used to be home for the priests there. What's in there now, Randy?
Olive Branch Retreat.
Yeah, it's just, where the
Yeah, they have weddings
sons of
there.
priests go to.
Yep.
Yeah, been there for years. Okay, let's go back to giving 50% of that. I never got the answer there.
I don't think that math's gonna work, Phil.
I don't wanna be chasing business out.
So then last year was a tough year for you to start out too, wasn't it?
Yeah, being that we weren't open for a full year prior, you know, there was no government loans available to us because we couldn't show any,
Any loss?
from
Yeah.
before, so we pretty much just, let the brides know if they wanted to have a wedding out in the yard and it's up to you kind of thing, you know, try to keep everybody's distance and keep it under a certain number and go that route, but yeah, we had quite a few cancellations, quite a few postponed to this year, which basically gobbles up one more weekend of potential revenue, you know, so.
So I truly see this as a tax problem. Is it a value problem or is it a tax problem? Is the tax the end result because are all the bits and pieces before that okay?
Say that again?
So you've mentioned the tax and the revenue, and that is the part we keep coming back to. That's the end result of what we're doing. Is it not commercial? Is it not worth the number we had on it, or is the tax not right? Personally,
Both. I think you're taxing it as if I had it as a single standalone building in the middle of a parking lot
okay,
that I lived elsewhere.
but we've proven that's not the case because I showed you how it was split classed.
Right, but even with that number, there's still a person residing on the property. There's still a person there. I'm there, right? So if all of a sudden somebody wanted to go buy Taco Bell down the street, well, that's in its own little, it's, you know what I mean? Nobody's gonna come buy a barn right where I'm at. So I think your taxes are high there, and I think, or your price is high, and I think tax is
The
50%
value.
more than it should be. I
Value, you think the value of the building is higher than what it should be, being it's not a standalone
Correct.
business.
And when you compare, you tried, at our first meeting, you were comparing anything local. Or you were comparing things that weren't local. The only one that you did compare local was the ballroom, and they're at like $2,500 a year. So,
Tax again.
correct.
Yeah. We purposely don't bring tax here.
Well, he
Like,
started out
very-
with taxes, then he went to value.
I know, and,
Value as well, you know what I mean? It's like, that's what I'm saying, it's like.
but you have, I think we can all agree that your barn is worth more than the ballroom.
Yeah.
Right? I think that goes,
Well, no,
Maybe
you're
I'm-
looking, if you couldn't look inside of it and you were just looking at square footage,
And that's what I'm talking about, square footage.
you know,
And they
because
have
you
a
can't
kitchen.
look
I'm
inside.
not wanting their taxes to go up, that's the last thing I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about comparison of something relatively close to me that does the same thing, you know? And I just don't find it even close to being relative. One's doing something around that $2,700, one's $10,100, you know?
Yeah, because we should be looking. at
anybody got the
square
ballroom
footage.
offhand? Yes, please.
I don't wanna sound like I'm bellyaching, that's the last thing.
One more time. Thank you.
And the last thing I wanna do is be, like, I'm not trying to draw attention to anything else saying that they should pay more, cause everyone should be paying less. Across the board.
We'll round it up to 7,300 square feet. Your main level is 3,400. Your addition is 1,500. Your second level is 3,400. So once you start adding the layers, you're bigger. Footprint, you're smaller. Your barn has a smaller footprint than the Clarissa Ballroom has. But you have more floor space than the Clarissa Ballroom has. But that's only one part.
Bottom layer and the top layer has my lawnmowers in it all winter long, my extra seed stock all winter long in the downstairs. Last winter I had my B John Deere, my 50 in there, and my trucks. So it's like a glorified garage 6 months out of the year.
Not-
And the 4 other days out of the year that we don't have a wedding in it, my lawnmowers sit back in there.
But that's not the primary use of the building. You're not going to sell it as a,
More doing that
you're
than
not going to
having a
sell
wedding.
it as a seed storage facility.
30 days out of the year I have brides there. The rest of the time I have my lawnmowers and trucks in there. Now, I am not arguing the fact that it's commercial. I completely agree with that. But it's still up to your guys' discretion on something. How come ours is so much higher?
Okay, but income should have nothing to do with what we tax your property on. We shouldn't even be talking about income on what we tax your property on. It should be square footage and use. That's what we should be talking about. Now, the first guy that came in here was talking about lumber prices. That has nothing to do with anything to do with assessing your taxes.
Correct.
Boards could be $50 a board, and when he built the house, they could have been 10. It has nothing to do with anything. So what we need to do is figure out, it's commercial. I think we've all agreed on that. Have we not? So The deal is on square footage, are we consistent of what has went through the county as far as square footage? It's commercial. Now, if I hear him right, 900 to 10,000 is one heck of a jump. But that's why I was asking about the sale, ratio adjustment for sales. If we reduced it to 50%, how much would that do to his property? And I haven't
80
gotten an answer yet.
$82,000.
Less on market value,
Correct.
all right? Which would reduce his taxes by how much?
It's 22 taxes, so we haven't set levies, we haven't set
Okay,
budgets.
so we don't know.
We don't know.
Give me that figure again?
$82,000 even.
What would it reduce it by, the taxes this year's, or I mean?
Nothing.
Last year's,
Nothing.
nothing.
No, 21 taxes are done based off of the 21 assessment.
Well, I've been making all the motions tonight, so I'll hate to see what I get for appraised at when I come up here. But anyway, I'll move that we reduce it by 82,000, the market value, Madam Chair.
I have a motion to reduce it by 82,000 by Kircher. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
How much does that actually decrease on tax?
He
No
can figure it
idea.
out, you can get hold of him tomorrow.
Let's just pretend if it was this year. I know your levies aren't set.
Well, if you have our total value there and subtract 82,000 and come up with a percent difference, that's how I'd estimate it. If we have your market value at, say, 500,000, we took 82 off, that's 20%. 20% would be 20% of the tax. That is a very quick and dirty way. But, you know, like I said, without knowing levies, without knowing total market values, it is an estimate at this point.
It's not sure for next year, so.
Levy goes down, it'll be even more. If the levy goes double, you're not gonna see a reduction in taxes. You'll see an increase.
I appreciate you guys' time. Sorry for the.
Thank you.
It's just one of those things. Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I think
Okay.
Carlos is out there.
Checking that one in Avon, though, just curiosity. See what Stearns has got that for that.
Right.
So as Carlos gets ready, he is our number 3 for the day. We skipped past him and now we're coming back. This is Carlos Ramirez. He owns property in Moran Township. His house is off of County Road 81. The parcel we're talking about today is a 90-acre parcel with his house.
Okay.
Go right
So the
ahead.
particular question was in regards to 14 acres of woods, was stated on the assessment sheet. And so I had an FSA valuation done back when they were allocating for, so I was trying to determine where are the 14 acres on this picture?
Yep.
So
And-
that was my whole thing, and then in talking to Amy and stuff, saying, I mean, cause you can't, I mean, the one pine section is about 4 acres. I'll concede for that. Although I had a gentleman come out, Eric Egan of Timber Lane Forestry out of Baxter, Minnesota, come out. He does selective harvesting of trees and stuff. He said most of your trees are dead, and it wouldn't be worth us to come in to get these trees. Now let's look both properties, the other 80, which we're not addressing tonight, but, so, in speaking to Amy, you know, okay, if you drop it down to 4 acres on the 90 acre parcel, fine. I mean, we can readdress at another time, more detail when I go with the FSA and how they calculate the woods and, so that's what I'm requesting.
Yep.
And, in discussion with Amy, that, I'm in agreement with that reduction.
So, I guess I forgot one crucial point of this visit today is Carlos is on the Moran Township Board, so we could not act on his parcel because he was a voting member. It would have been a conflict of interest. So after the meeting, him and Amy talked, and we agreed this is the best venue. And we agree with the maps and the FSA and what we're seeing here today. And we're saying that the acres of woods should be reduced to 4 from 14. And the waste should go up to 30, which would reduce his overall value by $16,200. And I believe that's the number that you received as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So unless there's anything else with this particular parcel, we agree, and we would certainly recommend that, unless you have something else.
We had, many discussions, and then, so she showed me how the valuations work over a 5-year trending and stuff, but it's just my heartache is that it would take a handful of properties in Moran Township that sell higher than the market value, and to me, in my opinion, skews the overall numbers, pushes the numbers up, and makes it unfair, because 90% of the properties, they're not gonna sell above market value. Maybe 70% will not sell at market value. So that's my heartache, that I'm paying for a handful that sold in this particular time frame that affects everyone. So that's my heartache. But if this is the agreement that we can come to, I will concede to that.
Okay, then
Not happy, but
I would ask for a motion on the recommendation to lower the value by $16,200.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Carlos.
thank you very much. Randy, it's good to see you again.
Yep, you too.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, and you are?
Mike Schwartz, I'm here for Schwartz property.
Okay.
My parents are the actual registered owners on it. I'm the homesteader. You guys are down for 20 acres you're taxing us on. 6 of that is in wildlife management. So it's actually only 14 acres because they hold, I can't do nothing with 6 acres on my property. Can't change it, can't do anything with it. Plus, you guys raised it by $35,000 in 1 year, an increase on the taxable side. I think that's an outrageous amount in 1 year, when the last 2 years, one was 10 and one was 15. To have that big of a jump is quite a bit, especially during this time when everybody's hurting. I mean, I've been unemployed, I've been on unemployment. It's not like I got a lot of extra money to throw around. I think you guys are just raising the taxes too much.
So this is a Germania parcel. It's section 18, 20 acres, deeded. Here's a picture of the house, sketch of the house.
Which is Amish built, which is gonna have to be torn down in about 5 years because there's no vapor barrier put in the house.
And let's see if we can get an aerial view of the entire property here. I'm going to sneak in a little bit closer to the buildings. So we have $46,100 on the land. Of that, 20,000 is the amenities of sewer, water, and electric, just like every other property in Todd County. The buildings account for $136,100. You can see the land breakdown on your screens. 8.7 tillable, 1 building site, 3.7 pasture meadow, a little bit of road, 6 acres of waste. And I believe that corresponds very closely what you see here. Moving down to the buildings, house was built in 1998. We're saying it has not been updated since 1998. There's a pole shed built in 2000. Full style garage, no concrete, galvanized steel. And another shed.
There was nothing built in 2010.
Well, let's look at the aerial.
One of them years ain't right, because there was nothing built in them years. Which one are you talking about?
I'm gonna go. This is a 2020 picture.
Let's see.
Here's a 2008 picture.
That's after the fire.
Okay, so we don't have a shed here in 2008. But it's there in 2013, so it's either built in 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12.
It had to be in 12. It was built, it wasn't in 2010, that's for sure.
Okay.
It was after that, it was well after that.
So if we move it up and reduce the physical age, we'll reduce the physical depreciation, which will make that building worth more dollars.
Oh. You got the wrong year in the first place, so.
Okay, let's fix that.
But that's, you guys are overvaluating everything anyway, so.
So garage, going from a 2010 to a 2012.
There it is, 2011, right there, right below it.
Yep.
I don't know what that other one you got, that you're changing to 2010, or 2012 is.
Doesn't look like it got a lot bigger in that amount of time. This whole north side was added on.
Yeah. That's just a lean-to building anyways on the building. It's not really a you know.
Remember those open porches we were talking about at $20 a square foot? We have these buildings you can see here in blue. $6.83 a foot, $7.86, and $5.16. So roughly 25% of what an open porch on a house would be. To say that all of the outbuildings here are worth approximately $16,000 for a 40 by 30 pole shed and 2 sheds that are about the size of a garage individually. And excuse me, total house value is approximately $52 per square foot.
Still overvaluing that too. Like I said, there's no vapor barrier in the house. The Amish built the house. It's gonna end up having it going down within the next 5 years.
You mentioned a fire. Can you tell me more about that?
What?
You mentioned a fire. Can you?
That was back in, you had that one picture before 2010, so it had to be about 2009 or somewhere in that time frame. We lost the one, building, would be,
So it wasn't the house.
huh?
It wasn't the house. Okay, That's where I was heading. So forget that train of thought, please. It's a 2,200 square foot house. It's a lot of house.
Not really, but it's all open, it's nothing, it's an Amish-built home, it's not like you think it's got all this stuff in it, it's a basic home, it, 3 bedrooms. No, 2
Has,
bedroom.
but it has electric and water and, right? Like,
We had to put in,
yep.
after we moved on to the property, we put in all that ourselves.
So when we talk houses, in general, we have sizes, qualities, and locations. What you see here in this D5 here, our quality grade runs from 4.5 at the bottom to 10. Our average house in Todd County that is being built today is a 7.5 or an 8. So this is 1/2 of a step above our bottom of the barrel. When we assess Amish houses, we take off, is it 35 or 40%? 35. We take off 35% of this base rate. So this 94, for example, we would put in a 35 right here to reduce it by 35% because those amenities don't exist. There's no water, there's no electric, there's no plumbing. In this case, that problem's been cured. So that functional obsolescence has been removed. The quality of the construction has remained. We're still saying it's a below average home, but the fact that it was built by Amish isn't really a calculable, I don't know if it matters at this point because those amenities have been restored or input.
The house wasn't originally inspected by an inspector when it was built, because they did it without vapor barriers, they did a lot of things. My actual joists in my rafters say agricultural. They don't say, and I didn't find that out until after we purchased the home, because I didn't find out, because when I started crawling up in the rafters, I found that. But my rafters actually say agriculture. So the house was not inspected originally when the Amish built it.
I'm actually surprised that they're commercially built trusses. I mean, a lot of the Amish build their own.
I know the Amish around me, they all use commercially built
Okay.
trusses.
There's not a building inspector in Todd County. So your house is like Todd County has electrical inspection, sewer inspection. That's it. Until you start getting into commercial properties.
Or city.
Or city, yep.
I'm originally from the city, I was born in St. Paul, but a house constructed like this would have never passed any building inspections. I know what I could sell my house and property for, and I know dang well I could only get about 110 at the most for my property. And that would be pushing it.
.6 miles away. 2.5 more acres. Sold for 172. Farmhouse. Probably not going to pass any inspections either. Couple outbuildings. Built in 1910. We have more value on this house per square foot than we do his 1998 house, which goes to show what we're doing for quality. But it also shows our numbers aren't that bad. 31,000 on the additional land. So right now we have 156 on this one. Sales a couple years old now, sold for 235. This is on, so Quonset's your extra shed here. Attached garage. And you can see the house, 20 acres. This one sold for 237 on 3 acres. It's double wide. Smaller house, older house, mobile house. Full style garage. Germania sales. This past year we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 agricultural sales. Final ratio is 83.5. So remember, when you get 6, you got to hit 90. So we raised it. Now we're at 97% at that time, at January. Only one of these were improved. The rest were bare land. 0962. So the one that sold was an 80-acre parcel. So not the best comp. Substantially more land. House didn't get moved. 1965 house. Do you want me to keep going? Do you want to see his field sheet again? Is there anything I can do?
Madam Chair, I'll move that we leave it.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Kneisel for it to remain the same. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Erickson. Discussion. Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Thank you.
So we do have, maybe?
$300 a week.
So the next parcel is Willis and Monica Sanford. This is Stowe Prairie Township. They have a house on
Pull another chair up
15 acres. House was built in 2007. I'm going to get the rest of my stuff together before I continue. You guys can go ahead. I'll just keep getting ready here.
Well, on the last assessment or whatever, they had, the shed is all completely cemented, and it's not. And then, so we sent pictures, and they deducted for that, but then they added for lined walls, and it's not finished walls.
I mean, we have pictures of what we sent them, and you can see the pole studs. I don't know what they consider lined, I guess. Yeah, those are the pictures.
So if we go, I wish I had a better picture.
He has
to-
more on his phone if you.
That's okay. So Monica asked for the field card, which we've given her, and when I was out there, the base of the door has concrete. Door was closed. I assumed that concrete ran through. She said it didn't, so we removed the concrete. We did ask for pictures as proof. When I looked at this picture, I thought this wall was insulated. I looked further, and then I looked at the second this morning, and I realized that I'm looking at the backside of the exterior steel. So when we had said that we would reduce the value by, I believe, $1,600, it should be $4,000 for the concrete. And that's truly the only change I would recommend is removing this. So here you can see the bottom line on this is pole shed, built in 09, 48 by 34, electric and concrete throughout. So what I would suggest is removing that $4 per square foot for concrete, which equals out to $4,000 after the depreciation. That would be my recommendation to the board.
How about the insulation part of it?
Our letter had, so our email or letters, one of our communications said that judging by the pictures, it's insulated in line, so we're gonna add that on and minus the concrete. That never happened because of the time frame. So I just saw that this morning. So what I'm asking the board to do is remove, so from a total assessed value of 238,300 to go down to 234,300. Just removing the $4,000 worth of concrete for my mistake.
Okay, you removed the concrete, but never did add
Never
the
did add it.
insulation.
Yep,
So you're not paying insulation nor
never have.
concrete?
Yep.
Okay,
And if we would've known that, we probably wouldn't have came here tonight. I guess
You're-
that was our biggest
you're-
complaint, like, why are you adding lined if it's not lined?
Your
You can clearly
emails,
see it from the
I
pictures.
sent a letter, and on the bottom of the letter, I said if you have questions, and I put my phone number, but you didn't call.
I did
Yeah,
call
we
on Friday.
called.
You didn't call my number.
I called the office and they told me they didn't think I could make an appointment. And when I talked to you, first of all, you told me that it was too late, you would do it for the next assessment. Well, this is it, we had an open book, our township,
Right, and I explained that I didn't know that, I'm new, so,
okay?
Yeah.
That's kind of important,
well, now I
But-
know.
yeah. And then we were told on Friday that it was too late to make an appointment for county board, they believed. That's why Willis called, he did leave his name and number and
I
asked for a
think
call back.
Jane said that you
But we
should talk
sent-
to Chris.
I got your email this morning when I came back. I was at a funeral for the last couple days, out of town. And when I got your email, I responded immediately, and the only thing your email said was, please sign me up.
Yes,
No
because we
problem.
wanted to make sure it didn't get missed. But we did have it asked for a phone call also. When we left on Friday, we left a message and
Okay,
asked to be called, and we just sent the email to make sure you got the notice.
okay.
But
For the future, is there, you can put in there that I'd like to be, I mean, so we don't have the problem with concrete, I'd just soon be home and then they can view it. I understand why why you assume there's concrete through the whole shed, I mean,
Yep.
but.
Unless something changes, we're not gonna assume something has changed. So when
Well, this is
I
the
measured
second
that,
time, though, I think that we've called about the cement. Cause it was on there once before, and she called in.
I personally don't remember that. I remember measuring the shed in 2009. I don't think I've been back since, because I no longer do Still Prairie Township. So yeah, it was my mistake. Whether it got put back on by somebody else, I don't know.
Like I said, I understand why somebody would assume it's cemented. I'm just saying, if it's viewed again, I'd like to be there, and then I can,
Okay, we'll make a note on your field sheet to call before.
I
And
have your number.
okay, perfect. I was gonna ask for your number, but if she's already got it, we'll put it right on the field sheet. What Dina uses the same program we do, so you know how our notes work. And it'll be right on front, so when the sheet is open, there'll be the name, phone number, please call before entering.
yeah. And
Pretty
I mean,
standard note.
Like I said, then they can go in wherever they want. I don't.
Yep, no, we'd appreciate that.
And then we don't have to waste everybody's time again.
This wasn't too bad well, at least not on our part. I apologize for the drive, but
okay,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to reduce that $4,000.
okay. The motion by Kenizel was the value would be $234,300. Is that correct, Chris?
I'm sorry, I was moving on. So from 238,300 down to 234,300. A total reduction of $4,000.
Okay. I have a motion, a second by Commissioner Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next appeal this evening is by letter. This is a Burnhamville parcel. I'm gonna read the letter. Actually, this is Laura's letter. I don't need to read that one. All right. It's dated May 8th, 2021, County Board of Appeal and Equalization. As a follow-up, I gotta make it a little smaller. As a follow-up to my letter to local board April 16th, 2021, and reply dated April 27th, 2021, I am again asking to take a closer look at this piece of property. I understand property values decreased. Thank you for that. My question. The information provided was taken from your local maps, etc. No visible inspection. The property has only 10 acres of tillable land. There is woods, wasteland, which is too wet for making hay, etc., and lakeshore. If you were to go to the property, I would not consider there to be available lakeshore for usage. Water is being held all over in that area due to blockage somewhere along the line. Water is supposed to be running from Trace Lake into Lady Lake to Swan Lake and then Long Lake. It appears it is stopping at Lady Lake, north side, and flooding the area, making it troublesome for farming or harvesting. Thank you for your consideration. Signed, Janet Sikora, mother of Jody and Jeffrey. Now that that's read, I'm going to show you the parcel. So this is 160th Street running to the north. 10 acres roughly of tillable, a couple acres of woods, the rest is waste. We are assessing it for lakeshore. Which lake is this? Lady. I'm going to pull up the field sheet for you. Ten acres of tillable, 2 acres of woods, 12.4 waste, 1 acre road, and 1,039 feet of lakeshore. The lakeshore is being reduced by 30% because of the cattails present along the shoreline. Total parcel value is 92.3. Questions before we go to comps?
Yeah, Chris, if you just slow down a little bit, because I'm trying to focus on one thing and then you're switching to another.
Okay.
Could we go back to the bird's eye view of the property, please?
Yes.
Okay. Can you open it up a little more, spread it out? Where is, this is on the south end of Lady Lake?
West, this is the north here.
Way is north.
North is up in this picture.
We talking?
You know where Euchre's campground
Yeah.
is on the north end there, and if you head west on that green line.
Okay.
So this is County 102 here.
Oh, this Dolphin Drive is where that campers are.
Yeah.
160th. They even got that little, okay. So where,
This
right
is the
there,
parcel in question.
there's a cabin on the corner there, right?
Yep, not owned by this individual.
Where is the lake shore?
So that is that cattail mess.
Yeah. There is no good lake shore there.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that a county ditch?
No,
I don't-
it's a creek.
Rick?
That actually is an inlet, I think. The outlet is over by Euchre's on the north end there. There is one that goes out here someplace, right over here, but that goes into Swan, I think, Big Swan. This is really confusing, but I know where it's at now. What's flooding?
Laura actually drove out there and took some photos.
Do you know of anything that's flooding out there?
So this is a roadside picture of the tillable.
Yep.
Again. Here's that tree line, and then right on the other side of the tree line is the ditch. I'm sure this swamp wasteland could be flooding, but that's why it's classified as such.
Not tillable anyways.
But to me, the tillable looks fine. These pictures, when did you take them, Laura? Oh, actually, it says right here. Yep, June 2nd.
Yeah, with drier heck.
So it's,
There's no flooding there. Okay, so what is she asking?
I've got a lot of windows open.
I just asked to reconsider.
Did it say in that letter that it was, you had decreased the value or something, or what? Just because of the cattails, probably, huh?
So she acknowledges that there's 10 acres of tillable, so we're in agreement there.
The line above it says, I understand that property values decreased.
And hers actually did slightly negligible. So from 94,000 last year to 92,300 this year.
So what is she asking for? What does she want?
What was her base acre? What was it?
So the land values here run between 600 to 3,000 on this parcel.
It's not bad land, it's pretty good property. I'll move that we leave it the same, Madam Chair.
Okay, I have a motion from Kircher to have it remain the same. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Kanizel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries.
All right. Our next written appeal this evening is Cynthia Casales. This is a Burnhamville parcel on County Road 12. We've had quite a bit of communication. She couldn't make it tonight, so I asked her to send a letter. Her letter is very short, but I'm going to read it to you. It says, my concerns about property tax at 33263 County 12. I feel the market value is high for this area on a 2-bed, 2-bath home, and I'm curious why the value goes from $376,400 to $399,500. We're trying to obtain agricultural status to reduce taxes. We have had 2 different answers about how much tillable acreage we have, 8.4 or 9.1. Also, I have multiple answers about how to use acreage across the river as part of our taxable parcel. Map. Let's look at a map.
So they want to get homesteading.
Well, she has homestead.
Ag steading.
She wants ag homestead. Here's the parcel. It is 31 acres. I'm going to try to get the whole thing on the screen here. Here's County Road 12. This parcel used to have enough tillable land. She built this house in 2018.
Took up an acre or something.
Took up some acres. I and Laura have both measured, and that's where she mentioned that 8.4 to 9.1. And we actually talked about it a little bit with Annette when she was here. So I'd measured this prior to coming here today. I got every single bit of tillable ground I could get, and I came up with 8.96 acres. The statute is very clear, and it says 10 contiguous acres. Even if it's 8.4, or if it's 9.1, or if it's 8.96, none of these numbers are 10. So on that regard, there's not much I feel like the board can or legally should do. But on the value, we can pull up her field sheet again.
Chris, can I interrupt you?
Yes, please.
Go back to contiguous acres. What does that crick have to do with contiguous acres if they got property across the creek?
So
Why does that crick mean there's a, like, you can't, why isn't that considered part of the,
well,
There ain't a hell of a
even
lot.
even if it was, there's nothing there.
oh, you have a little chunk there. How much is that?
I would contend that that's not being farmed.
What if she did farm it?
Might be an acre, maybe.
Well, there you go. Well, you're still not
Still
10.
short.
Okay, let's cut them trees down and see what we can get.
Ooh,
That's
damn
not
near an
even-
acre.
Huh?
Damn near an acre.
As long as it's farmed, does it have to be farmed by her or someone else?
Not
Because the
even
guy
an
on the
acre.
other side could farm it.
Not even 3/4 of an acre, huh?
What's in the corner there? There's a little dabba-doo there.
We're stretching the meaning of contiguous here. So I agree that, you know, if the, for argument's sake, if she's farming both sides of the creek, I would like her to get within that legally cannot farm anymore. One of the things that we talked about was, she said, if I wanted to be a farmer, I'd have to cut down some trees. I said, I think you just answered your own argument. Farmers do cut down trees.
Does it forest,
A lot of the land around Todd County
being
was
within the
trees.
forest department, would that make it more forestry considered ag acres? Would that put her over the 10 acres?
Trees are not ag unless they are used for Christmas trees by a licensed Christmas tree operation, or maple syrup by a licensed maple syrup operation. Just trees aren't going to do it.
There are some forest programs, or is that not trees enough for a forest program? Okay.
I know this is a little off topic, but I think it truly takes away from our actual farmers when we give reduced tax rates to kinda farmers. And that's even, if we went back to that Shorts one,
I like farming.
Do you have a tractor?
It do.
so this is a picture of that gentleman that said we were out of control. Now, I would question if he's farming.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
No, we're giving him egg the same as we're giving Barb egg.
But ag credits aren't going to, what's an ag credit now? I mean, they're being,
But the credit comes from the state,
yeah, I know.
but the reduced tax rate happens right here. So when we reduce the tax rate for Mr. Schwartz, we're essentially incrementally increasing your taxes because we're lowering our total tax capacity.
Well, me and this lady have spent minutes, if not quite a few minutes on the phone. And I've talked to Chris about this one, but, you know, we're stretching it. The rubber band's gonna bust, so, you know, and it's a new house, there's a new garage there, I believe, and shed, isn't there?
There is.
And they're fairly decent buildings. They took them quite a while to build them, but, I don't think she realizes that the ag credits aren't gonna reduce her taxes that much, so, am I right?
And you know, another thing that we don't bring up enough is the house is taxed the same no matter what.
Right.
It's only the land and any outbuildings that experience that credit difference.
But if she wants to, cut more trees down, make it 10 acres, then that's her business.
I agree.
Chris, I see she's got an open porch again. Move,
She certainly does.
Is that something new that you guys just people are
It's
picking up
the
on
first
it?
time we've talked about it, but it's never new.
Okay.
You know, we
Well,
talked a
because
little bit
everybody's
about the
extending
rates.
their
No,
roofs, I'm sure.
this,
Most of the newer houses are doing that.
They are, but do they realize that, I mean, they're
Well-
paying for that roof and not getting really any living?
you know, one of the first parcels here tonight was at Kent Mason.
Yeah.
And we talked about that storage shed on theirs too. And he went, that's movable. And the whole world is shocked at those things. And I said, I'd love to get rid of that. We have to pick them up. We have to add them to the tax rolls. But we answered that single question probably more than everything else. Not combined, but that's solely the number one complaint is that's movable. Well, that's also $4 in tax.
Come so we can move the building out
Right.
back and then we can move it back.
Outdoor living it's big. You know, to change the roof line like that is a huge cost. And for that Kent Mason to build those overhangs 4 feet, that's a giant cost. Because that's cantilevered. Those logs must have been huge to support that extra
Never
4 feet.
built it.
No, correct. He purchased it.
Yeah.
I don't think these are half logs though, I think.
This one is not a real log. This is, yeah, a half log siding.
But really, an overhang like that is almost like a covered deck, so I mean, there's a lot of benefit to it. But I watch your drawing, so don't put it all the way around if it doesn't go all the way around.
I think
I
it did
know,
too. For Cynthia, this parcel, we're recommending no change. If you have any questions, try to help.
Do I have a motion?
Dave doesn't want to talk to her again. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kenizel for no change. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second
Some
by
bitch probably give her
Erickson.
my phone number.
Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Just so she,
All right, now for the easy section of the night. We have 2 changes that we would like to recommend that you make. This first one is Jana Messer. This is a Gray Eagle Township parcel. She also owns the parcel next door. And we accidentally put a second site on this parcel. So we have the sewer, water, and electric on the main, and we have it on the secondary. So we're asking you to take it off of the secondary for us, please. So we're asking that you reduce the total value by $20,000 because this has just this trailer on it. And her main has the house, correct? Cabin. So, right. It doesn't have a working septic system. It doesn't have a working well. The only spot she has is the other parcel. And we can,
have an
I think that's all.
overhang.
I'll move that, Madam Chair.
How about the
Okay.
storage shed?
Motion
That's
by
movable.
Kircher, to reduce the value by 20,000. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Kenizel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right. Our final is Mr. Timothy Cole. Owns and occupies in Hewitt. Very difficult to take a picture of this house. It's surrounded by plants. Did you get a new one? So this is 3rd Avenue.
No?
Try to open the right stuff here. So Joey went here a few days ago. He had called and had some concerns. And this is what she found, this picture she took when she was there. So this, we had listed as a tuck under garage. I don't know if we have another view of the other side of it. So where that white roof line is, you can drive in, and then, so that's a garage, and then this we have as a tuck under because it's mostly underground. When she looked at it, it's very bad. It's leaking, the stone walls are crumbling, it's stone and concrete. So the first step today was we'd like you to reduce the value from what we have on this portion. We have $3,000 on it. I'd like to take it down to 300, basically an acknowledgement that it's there. And we also have a storage shed that's no longer there. And that we had a value of $700. It was an 8x10 Menards utility barn. So we're asking you to reduce the total value by $3,400. $700 because the shed is gone. $2,700 because this is not very good.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Kanizel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson to reduce the value by $3,400. I should have stated that. Okay. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. We done?
I'd say that's it, but that was a lot.
We'll adjourn at